Thank you for having me, and Representative Bowers, thank you very much for this bill and for what seems like everybody's spirit of wanting to make it as broad as possible to keep victims as safe as possible. I, again, am the Chief Executive Officer at Texas Advocacy Project, and for those of you that don't know, we provide free civil legal services for victims of dating and domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, child abuse, stalking, all of those atrocities that might need a court order for long-term safety. And the work we do is only as good as the laws that you make. So thank you for this and for this consideration. Last year, we closed over 5,000 cases. That's 5,000 of these victims sitting in this room. This year, we are on track to close more. And that's going to affect over 10,000 and nearly 15,000 victims or primary and secondary victims in the state of Texas. So we see firsthand how victims of abuse navigate the legal system and all the challenges they face in seeking the protections. And survivors who attempt to leave an abusive situation often encounter those barriers to safety, especially when monitoring and enforcement mechanisms fail to prevent continued harm. And as it was already stated, when somebody is trying to leave, it is the most lethal. Can you imagine when you get the most courage to go? It is the most dangerous moment, and what you must overcome to do that. So, you know, one of the things that we just hear over and over again is when survivors say, I don't know if he's in the room. I don't know if this person is coming after me. And let's face it, the criminal trials last for years. Most recently, I was on a call with a victim yesterday, and 3 years before her criminal trial even occurred. And for those 3 years, the only protection she had was a lifetime protective order, but she still didn't know if he was in the room. We have to find a way to stop that. As Molly said earlier, going from passive to active, this will make the difference. Yes, we do have to find ways to keep up with the software and with the technology as it adapts, but it is absolutely our responsibility to the members of our communities, our sisters, our aunts, our brothers, our cousins, the people you're in the grocery store or the church with. It is our responsibility to make sure that they feel safe in their own community. I had one person who went to join a gym, and she walked in and he was there. Had she known he was there, she never would have tried to join that gym.
Yeah.
So it's about knowledge and about empowering victims to have safe measures and to control their own safety. I could go on and repeat the things that are on my piece of paper about what we love about the condition of bond, the victim notification of violations, the provisions addressing unauthorized tracking of victims, because when that technology flips, it's horrific. Establishment for that victims assistance program, and of course what I love is data collection and annual reporting, because if we can give data-driven, evidence-based information, we can continue to make better laws, which is what you all are doing here today. So thank you very much, and thank you for allowing me to change to 4 instead of.
Thank you, Ms. Blaine. Any questions, Mr. Woods?
Thank you. And I know you were here earlier for other bills and stuff, and you heard a lot of people saying like who will think of the victims? Why don't we provide more protections for the victims? And I want to make sure this is what domestic violence advocates and victims have been asking for decades.
Decades.
For just like let us, because you know, like even with my own life, with my friends who have gone through this, I've had calls where we say like, I know that's his truck. He keeps driving by the house and over and over, and we call the cops, and the cops say, well, did you get a license plate? Can you see the license plate? I know that's his truck. I said, well, unless you have it on camera, we can't do anything, right? And if he had an ankle monitor, or she had an ankle monitor, you would know for certain, yes, you were not supposed to be within 1,000 feet, you were within 200 feet driving by, right? Mm-hmm. And this is this, and like we talked about earlier, like if you don't deal with people as they escalate, then they will escalate higher and higher and higher until we end up with another assault or a murder.
Absolutely.
Right? And the fact that if people are not following what they're supposed to be, like the judge says, hey, I don't know if you're guilty or not, but for the sake of everyone, you need to stay 500, 1,000 feet away from X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And it's that's all there is.
Yeah.
Right? And instead of leaving people in jail to rot, we say, look, we don't know if you did this or not. We don't know if this is a he said, she said kind of thing. But until we figure that out, we're just asking you to stay away.
Yeah.
That's all we're asking you to do instead of putting you in jail, instead of leaving you in jail. And this is, just let the victims know,
Yeah.
right?
And the secondary folks around the victims, the police, the law enforcement, the advocates, the shelters. It's important.
Yeah, I mean, it's just information.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Yes, Mr. Little?
This may be a stupid question, so
Oh,
I
no stupid
apologize.
questions, but I don't know if I'll be able to answer it either, even if it's not.
Does the abuser who's being monitored know when he is within X number of feet of his victim? Like I'm envisioning an ankle monitor. I'm envisioning like the victim with an app on their phone going, he's at the same grocery store or he's now at a restaurant you're at. Does the person who is being monitored know that they are violating it?
I'm not 100% certain on this, and I think that you can have offline conversations with it, but I do not believe that the perpetrator gets notified when they're close to the victim, because that would be a way for them to track the victim.
I could see that, but also I'm wondering if he goes to the movies, if the person who's the abuser goes to the movies and happen to be at the same movie theater and doesn't know, now she's terrified and he didn't mean to be there, or vice
But
versa.
at least
So
she has the option to get up and walk out safely.
that makes sense to me. I'm thinking
Yeah.
that the data is going to be used as evidence of a violation of the protective order as well, and I'm wondering how you establish intent. Maybe you'll have thought through that. And
Well, I'm not an attorney, and I'm not allowed to play one on TV. I just run the shop.
Of
And all the
course.
attorneys do the heavy lifting.
Mr. Wu,
But-
No, can I help you with that? In my time in the office, we've dealt with this a lot. So what you're talking about is a secondary charge called violation of protective order, right? It's an intentional violation. You have to intentionally violate it, right? And we've had cases where, like, the person who was not supposed to be near the other person
Right.
showed up at the same grocery store. And they said, we showed up at the same grocery store. And then what happened? Well, I saw the person I was not supposed to be, and I left. The judge says, okay, no problem, right? And the judge, in fact, in every single domestic violence, or every single case where a protective order was issued, the judge says point blank, you're not to go within 1,000 feet of X location, and here is the exact address. You're not to go within 1,000 feet of second location, and this is the exact address. You're also not supposed to be where you know the victim to be. And that's the key, that you know where the victim to be. If you don't know where the victim is and you just happen to be same place, once you know, the judge will in fact admonish you and say, if you just happen to be at the same place and you know that the other person is there, you have the obligation to leave. I'm sorry, that's the rules. Okay.
And on the passive side with GPS, they can still go back and look at that and say you were there. So it would work whether it's the passive or the active in the way that you're thinking, but you're right without that intent.
So it's like, they see the GPS tracking, and it's like, she's going from her house to the grocery store, and he's going from her house to the grocery store, and they ended up having the same place. Like, I'm not sure that was accidental,
Right,
right? But, you know, they just happen to come from different places and end up same time. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
anything else, members? Okay, appreciate you being here.
Thank you all.